In the year 1972, there was a break-in at the Watergate complex that would transform American democracy. It began as a bungled burglary in the pre-dawn hours of June 17. 5 men were caught inside the Democratic National Committee headquarters carrying wiretaps, cameras, and lists of Democratic strategies. At first, Washington shrugged, a clumsy act of political espionage. But the truth was far uglier and far closer to the Oval Office than anyone imagined. The scene that summer was tense. A nation exhausted by Vietnam, protests in the streets, and a president who promised a silent majority and law and order stability. Richard Nixon's re-election machine, the Committee for the Re-election of the President, CRP, derisively called CREEP, was desperate to neutralize opposition. The burglars were linked to Nixon allies, operatives with intelligence backgrounds, some with CIA ties. Money began to trail back to campaign coffers. A handful of arrests swelled into an unraveling of secrecy and systemic abuse. 2 young reporters at the Washington Post, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, followed a web of bank records, anonymous sources, and reluctant insiders. A mysterious informant, codenamed Deep Throat, fed them tantalizing confirmations that the burglary was not a rogue operation. In parallel, prosecutors and a stubborn federal judge, John Sirica, began questioning inconsistencies in the men's confessions. Slowly, cover stories fell apart. What converted a political crime into a constitutional crisis was the cover-up. White House aides H.R. Haldeman, John Ehrlichman, and counsel John Dean orchestrated payoffs, used campaign funds to silence the burglars, and sought to obstruct the FBI investigation. They tried to enlist the CIA to impede law enforcement by invoking national security. Hushed phone calls, destroyed documents, and misdirection became the administration's tools. When congressional subpoenas arrived, the administration stonewalled. The tension peaked when it emerged that Nixon had secretly recorded many Oval Office conversations. Those tapes, it turned out, were the key to the conspiracy. After a protracted legal battle, the Supreme Court in United States v. Nixon ordered the release of tape recordings in July 1974. Among them was the so-called smoking gun, a June 23, 1972 recording where Nixon and Haldeman discussed using the CIA to block the FBI. The audio proved that the cover-up had been ordered from the highest level. The revelations shredded public trust. Televised Senate hearings brought dramatic testimony, John Dean's blunt accusations of corruption and obstruction, the raw anger of lawmakers who felt betrayed by an imperial presidency. The House Judiciary Committee moved toward impeachment on counts of obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress. Facing imminent impeachment, Nixon chose a path no American president had before. He resigned. On August 8, 1974, he walked out of the White House.